This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Get ready to cheer on your Minnesota Frost as they look to repeat as PWHL champions. Tickets are available now for Game 3 this Sunday at XL Energy Center. Get all the details and your tickets now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Timmy, I apologize again for throwing you under the bus yesterday, not only for the montage, but blaming you for something because your questions weren't long enough. You know, we had a complaint.
Yeah.
Abbott received one about, arrogant, pompous derriere in his rudeness of eating on the air. And I blamed this. Well, if you'd ask longer questions, someone recommended bringing Barrero in for 534. But, you know, the only issue with that would be I'd probably gain a lot of weight. Hey-o! How about a little 534, 10
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shot a hit, hooray!
Racing.
For the Minnesota Twins today.
Yeah, the Twins pummeled the Baltimore Orioles 9-1 last night at Target Field. Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton combined to drive in 7 runs. Correa bashed the longest home run by any Twins hitter this season, his first homer since April 19th. Buxton hit his team-leading 8th home run. And the Twins pitcher struck out a season-high 17 batters, including 11 from Pablo Lopez. It was the Twins' 3rd straight win and 4th in a row at home. And, of course, Royce Lewis made his 2025 debut after 6 weeks on the injury list. He flew out twice, grounded into double play, and then reached base on an error. Common, what sticks out to you from last night's Twins win?
The opponent was the Baltimore Orioles. How many games did they won coming into that? I had no idea. I thought the Orioles...
They were good the last couple of years.
The last couple of years, they were really good.
They've given the Twins fits in previous...
Wasn't that like they beat us like 11 in a row or something? 9, 10, 11 in a row? That's a terrible team in a terrible city with terrible fans in a terrible stadium, and I always liked Camden Yards. What is their... Did you look up the record, right?
They're now 13-21 after the loss last night.
Yowza. So, but no, that's good. It's and I saw the quotes. You know, I think it was a Correa quote. It was basically, my dad used to sing me a song called the Duca Paducah Jamboree, and it was just, it goes, and the song would go, hail, hail, the gang's all here at the Duca Paducah Jamboree. And basically that's what Correa was saying, is the gang's all here. It feels good when everybody that was supposed to be with the team originally, and I think really what he means is Buxton, Correa, and now Royce Lewis, and the other starters, you know, the other guys that were penciled in as starters. Of course, they got some real contributions from the France and the Bader guy. The 2 acquisitions they made have been off during the offseason were 2 of their best players so far this year. And so Buxton is playing. I've been verbally slapping Byron on the back more than I ever have because he's deserving of it. He has stayed healthy. He hasn't missed any games this year, as far as I know. He may have got a getaway game day off that I don't remember. I'm not aware of, but he's playing. He's stealing bases. He's making diving catches when he doesn't need to make diving catches, but they look good. He's leading the team in home runs. He's driving in runs. He's scoring. He's playing like he's supposed to. He's playing like the team leader he's supposed to be. In Correa now, you know, he's had a tough couple of years with the plantar fasciitis. Was it 2 years ago when, come postseason, he was brilliant when we won our first postseason series in a long time. But really, he's been kind of hot and cold. Now he's starting to contribute. Now it's been several games now, I think, where he's hit the ball better. And the pitching staff is, when we had Bonus was, I loaded up with guests on Friday at 10 when you and Lil B and everybody else was gone. We had Bonus on too. And he was talking about this pitching staff in the way that part of the reason that Falvey was brought on was because, well, Jim Pola just happened to be thumbing through media guides, stumbled across Derek Falvey's name, but they develop pitchers in Cleveland. And unless you're willing to spend $150 million over 4 years for an ace that's already established, that's the only way you can get quality pitching. You have to develop it yourself. Cleveland's done a good job of that. That's why they've been competitive the past few years. And the Twins now they're developing pitchers. Pablo was a trade, but Joe Ryan, isn't he one of us? Didn't he start his career here with the Twins?
I believe so, yeah.
I think Simeon Richardson Woods, not that he's great, but he's solid. Ober's one of us, right? I don't think he came from anywhere else. There are high hopes for Zebby Matthews and David Festa. And those guys are homegrown guys, I believe, as well. We may have got them in Rule 5s, but they worked in our minor leagues and brought up. And the pitching staff, that's a brilliant performance by Pablo the day before. Joe Ryan was really good against the Red Sox. If you can pitch and play defense, you can use this anytime you want to be. If you pitch and play defense, you give yourself a chance to win the ball game.
Brilliant!
Nice to see the Twins now again, because it's a marathon and not a sprint, even though they were, I don't even know if they gained any ground yet in the standings over this. They've won 4 of their last 5, I believe, or it's 3 of their last 4. They beat the Red Sox twice, and now they've beaten the Orioles. Whether they're gaining any ground, but you keep winning ball games, you'll start gaining ground eventually, because all teams have slumps. So, the last few nights have been really good for the hometown 9.
Question number 2. And now it's time to go in the paint.
This is how the Indiana Pacers Cleveland Cavaliers game ended last night.
Carlisle's going to let him play. Halliburton steps back and hits. Tyrese Halliburton trying to take Cleveland's heart. And it is over. The Indiana Pacers in a Game 2 stunner.
Yes, the Indiana Pacers, thanks to Tyrese Halliburton hitting that three-pointer with 1 second remaining, they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 120-119 to take a 2-0 series lead. Common, are the Indiana Pacers title contenders? So the Indiana Pacers were the underdog in this series, down now up 2-0 on the team that had the best record in the Eastern Conference all season long.
Remember when I told you the story when I went to see Leon Russell before he died at the Dakota? He got to the point where it was the end of the concert, and he says, usually at this point, we leave the stage, you clap, and then we come back. He said, let's skip the part about us leaving the stage. I could go in this long, rambling answer and then say, I really can't answer that question. Like I did yesterday. The one guy loved it. So do you want me to do a long, rambling thing about Pacers versus Cavaliers and then say, I really can't answer that? Or should I just jump to, I really can't answer that?
Whatever you prefer.
I just can't answer that. No! Wish I could, but I can't. Hope I didn't throw you off. You have another question, I hope. By the way, Joe Ryan was a trade acquisition. I love our listeners. They're an encyclopedia of knowledge. I had several people say, we acquired him from the Rays in exchange for Nelly Cruz.
Oh, that turned out to be a good deal.
Yeah, really good deal. So,
and now it's time to go between the pipes.
I think this is a feeling another question I can't answer.
I think you can answer this one. After a 13-month process that included trademark drama and more than 850,000 ballots cast by fans in multiple rounds of voting, Utah Mammoth was revealed as the new name and permanent identity for the NHL franchise today. It replaces Utah Hockey Club, a temporary name for its inaugural 2024-2025 season. after Smith Entertainment Group purchased and relocated the former Arizona Coyotes franchise to Salt Lake City. Common, your thoughts on the Utah Mammoth name?
Well, my first question is, will they, like with the Wild, it's just the Minnesota Wild, it's not the Wilds. Will they be the Mammoths?
It's just Mammoth.
Or is it just Mammoth? The Mammoth.
No S. No apostrophe.
And then you have to say the Mammoth then, right? The Utah. Well, if you're talking about, you're throwing out the Utah part, he says, and so the Mammoth, the Wild, I kind of like it. The mascot would be a woolly mammoth, I'm sure, right?
Yes, the logo looks sweet.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'd have to take a look. You have to send that to me. I'd like to take a look at it. I don't mind that. I like something that, I didn't mind the Wild right out of the gate. Maybe, if you went and checked the tape, maybe I ripped it. I may have, but I look at it now and I kind of like, instead of like, why don't we call them the Lions? How about the Tigers? How about the Bears? We have all those names that have been around for, so you do an offshoot. Instead of the Bears, let's call them the Grizzlies. So I don't think anybody has, are there any other teams named after a prehistoric beast? Is anybody the pterodactyls?
Well, Kraken's kind of like a mystical.
That's a mythical. Yeah. That's a mystical. But I don't think anybody are the pterodactyls, right? I don't think anybody are the Tyrannosaurus Rexes.
The dodo birds?
No one's the dodo birds. So I like that this is named after a prehistoric being, the mammoth. The woolly.
I do like it. I preferred Yeti, but Mammoth was my second choice. I like it much better than just Hockey Club.
Yeah, I like Mammoth a lot, so let's go with it. They might become one of my favorite teams. Ober came from the Dodgers. So somebody said leave the baseball to the professionals. I think they're right. I'm sorry, I was trying to give the Twins credit for the first time, and wouldn't you just let me run with it? Just go, Common's wrong, but he's never said a nice thing about the Minnesota Twins organization in probably 25 years. Let's just let him run with that. All these pictures are homegrown. But we never let the facts get in the way of a good bit. We'll take a break and come back with a little bit more, including, no, we're not going to do Purple Prey. I'd like to, but we're not. But we will do bonus bucks.
Yeah, the Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword BILLS at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword, BILLS. Enter now at KFAN.com. Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
I see. I get it. I'm the idiot. So a number of people have weighed in on the Brad, Sean, Brian, KFAN text line, 64686. By the way, we're broadcasting from the cozy confines of the climate-controlled 651 Carpets Plus Studios. This one says prehistoric team names could also include the Toronto Raptors.
Sure.
A Velociraptor was a prehistoric. If you don't believe me, just watch Jurassic Park. And then someone else said the Buffalo Sabres have a mascot from the Ice Age of the saber-toothed tiger. I thought Putty Cat. So you do have Snagglepuss out there as well. And then there's this one, tend to be. Don't trust all your sources. Ober was drafted by the Dodgers, but did not sign because he opted to stay in college. Then the Twins drafted him the following year, and he signed. So we were right about Bailey Ober, tend to be. And you do, it is like, for instance, somebody had sent me what they got from AI, because we were talking, this was on Friday leading up to the series between the Wolves and the Warriors. And I think AI said Steph led the league in three-pointers. Second was Ant. And then third was Beasley. And then two or three people said those stats aren't right. And so I don't know. I don't know who led in three. I was going by what somebody said, AI said. And I know that's the danger of accepting as fact on face value, text messages or emails from listeners, and not just listeners. I mean, how many times have you read a story? Fish Wrap East West, Athletic, New York Times, USA Today, read them both every day and listen to music. Wouldn't do me any good to listen to talk shows, because the great thing about America is everybody's entitled to their opinion. The other great thing is you don't have to listen to them. But how many times will you see a newspaper will say, correction, we identified Tana B as producer of the Common Man program. He's actually the interim producer. The whatever publication it is, Barrett Sports Media regrets the error. You always see that at the end, regrets the error.
Yeah.
So even mainstream or news media, people that are considered, these are the facts, nothing but the facts, right? Sometimes they're often wrong, but now here's someone else. I think Simeon Woods Richardson was in the Jose Barrios trade. All right. Sorry. How has Barrios been doing? Remember when I was bitter when they traded Jose? And I think he had his moments. I think he's still with Toronto. Is he? Do we know? Do we have any indication? He was really, until he was kind of because Santana was also home. Now, see, Santana was a Rule 5 draftee. I get that.
Yeah, Barrios is still with Toronto.
Okay.
7 starts, 1-1 this year with a 3.98 ERA. But last 2 years, his ERA has been sub 4.
Yeah. Someone says, I got text, just tuning in, you sound very different. Is my voice?
You do sound different, yes.
Is it good or bad? Is it irritating? Not any more than normal?
I mean, it's always irritating, but right. I would say it's slightly more irritating than normal.
I thought it gave a better timbre to my voice. I kind of actually liked it. Sort of seemed almost musky. Not like a fish. Almost seemed like I kind of liked it myself. I don't know. I must be going through some cold, either that I have. I've self-diagnosed myself with African sleeping sickness at one other time as well. I wanted to ask you, because I'm not paying as close attention, how is the National Hockey League playoffs going right now? I mean, are there where I know we're in the semifinals in both, right? We're in the semis.
Yeah, we're in the second round. Yeah,
the second
conference
round.
Semifinals.
Right. Any surprises? Anything? What's your? I'm really asking because I haven't finished my lunch yet.
Well, I was out of commission for 5 days myself, right. So your guy Connor McDavid, who's overrated, helped the Edmonton Oilers win in Vegas last night by a 4-2 score. So Oilers up 1-0 in that series. Carolina won in overtime last night at Washington. So they won 2-1. They're up 1-0 in that series. And then the Dallas-Winnipeg series starts tonight. That's got a little bit later start just because Winnipeg needed 7 games to take down the St. Louis Blues. They won that game in double overtime with a kind of miraculous comeback, scoring with just a second or two left in regulation to force overtime. Then they won a double overtime. And then your other series is Toronto, which is a team that's notorious for being great in the regular season and having high expectations and then falling apart in the playoffs. They're up 1-0 on the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers after winning 5-4 in Game 1. So tonight you get that Game 1 of Dallas at Winnipeg, and then Game 2 between Florida and Toronto.
We're supposed to hate Dallas, right? You still do, is that correct? You hate the Dallas Stars?
Sure. Yeah, they took our team.
Right.
And they still have North Stars jerseys hanging up in their rafters as if it's their history.
Yeah, I think that's wrong.
Neil Broughton's jersey should be hanging in our rafters,
is it
not
hanging
yours.
There? That's not
right.
No, that's not right either. That's not. We've had this discussion. I blame Norm Green. I have nothing against the franchise. As a matter of fact, I kind of root for the Dallas Stars. I know that's probably sacrilegious, but because it's almost like the Lakers. You know, they just decided to move. I can't blame the team. It was ownership that wanted to move. Do we hate Winnipeg yet, or is that not something?
Oh, yeah, we hate Winnipeg.
We hate Winnipeg.
Well, yeah, they're the team that you and I had the debate on whether the player was intentionally trying to injure Kirill Kaprizov.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen enough out of the Jets over the years to think that they do go a little bit extra and trying to maybe let's just say, target some of our superstars.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Winnipeg Jets. And actually would cheer for Dallas against them.
No.
I have more hatred for Winnipeg than I do Dallas.
Let me give you a little PA murmur.
Oh my gosh, above average at best.
Above average at best. I kind of find it surprising. Well, I'm going to root for the Jets. Go ahead, hit it. Hit it. Okay, big spender. You want to go $4? I'll take the Jets.
Sure, I'll take the Dallas
There
Stars
you
for
go.
$4.
$4. You got a bet going on now. Let's pause and come back. One more segment to go before we bring Mark Rosen in. I'm sure he's got plenty to say when he joins us here just before 2 o'clock here at the Fan.
Bounce into parlay for our Timberwolves Game 2 watch party at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, May 8th. Join host Marty Gellner for a night of epic prize giveaways, including Timberwolves playoff tickets. Pair the playoff action with music by DJ AO, free food, and drink specials. Everyone in attendance will receive a free Timberwolves playoff rally towel. Full details at TICasino.com.
13-14 past here on the Common Man program. I'm Common, he's Tennessee. The legendary Mark Rosen, somewhere here at 1600 Utica Avenue South, he usually arrives about now. He will join us in studio just a couple minutes before 2 o'clock. Tennessee, you've made it perfectly clear on a number of occasions, including again today, that you're bitter that the Dallas Stars left the Twin Cities and Metropolitan. They took everything. They took the Zamboni. They took the uniforms, even the uniforms of the legendary players that played here. Took our name, took our colors, and you're not happy with them, right?
Correct.
What about the Wild stealing the whiteout from Winnipeg? Well, they did, right? How dare they? A tradition that Winnipeg has had for all these years. And you
steal it from their rival.
And you steal it from their rival? So what do you have
I mean, you got me. I can't get out of that box.
I figured that's what you'd say. So, you know me, always looking to box people up. I looked at the logo. I do like it. You know, it's a picture of a mastodon. You know, it's his head. It's a rendering. It's not a real picture of a mastodon. I don't think we have a real picture of a mastodon, right? They didn't have cameras back in the, you know, they're about the same time they were building the pyramids in Egypt. I don't think the Og or Grog had a camera and took a picture, right? But we assume that's what they look like because we've taken the skeletal remains that we've harvested. Archaeologists and paleontologists sifting through the rubble that was bedrock, where Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone resided. At least they didn't go the old Buffalo Bills way. Remember the Buffalo Bills, their first logo was just a stupid, dopey-looking buffalo just standing there, waiting to get hit by a train and get carried away on the cow catcher, right? So they just have some dopey-looking, you know, woolly mammoth standing in the middle of an an iceberg or something like that. They've actually got him. He's kind of looks like he's ornery. He's ready to fight. So
Tusks up. That's what they're saying. Tusks up.
Are they really? Yeah. Tusks up. You know, Utah's famous for a number of things. I think the Mormon Church is based there. They have, I think, are the Wasatch Mountains? I'm sorry, I'm going to probably embarrass myself here with geography. Can you Google Wasatch Mountains?
Never heard of them.
Wasatch. I think the Wasatch Mountains are in Utah. Let's see if I'm even close. Let's see if I'm even on the right continent. Wasatch, who knows where they are?
Yeah, mountain range in the western United States that runs about 160 miles from the Utah-Idaho border south to central Utah.
So they could have called them the Wasatches, which is kind of a cool name, the Wasatches. But then it's just a picture of a mountain, right? They're also known for the Bonneville Salt Flats. Do you know that? Are you familiar with the Bonneville Salt Flats? Bonneville Salt Flats, I think, are located near the Great Salt Lake. And that's where they do land speed record testing there. I think because it's flat as a pancake. Could you Google that for me? Why do they do... this is the segment we like to call... We're still trying to sell the segment as a NTR, close circuit to Little B. Got to be a institute of higher learning somewhere that would love to sponsor. You learn something new every day. Can you look up Bonneville salt flats? And because there's a reason they test them, I think, because it's flat as a pancake. And maybe it's at just the right altitude or something. That's where they would try to see what the fastest vehicle, that's where they test them to see how fast it is.
Bonneville Salt Flats are a densely packed salt pan in Tualatin County in northwestern Utah, a remnant of the Pleistocene Lake Bonneville. It is the largest of many salt flats west of the Great Salt Lake. It is public land and managed by the Bureau of Land Management and is known for land speed records at the Bonneville Speedway.
Okay.
The flats is open to the public. It's about 12 miles wide, with a crust almost 5 feet thick at the center and less than 1 inch towards the edges. It is estimated to hold 147 million tons of salt, about 90% of which is common table salt.
Seriously? Maybe these are called the Morton salt flats. So I don't know. It doesn't sound like it explains in there why that would be the place to do the land speed record other than it is flat as a pancake. So you could have called them the Utah Salt Flats, which would be kind of a cool name. It'd be different. Of course, then they would always have these, well, we came out flat. How could we not? Wait, hold on. Hey-o. I think I should send that to rewrite and have them punch it up. This one says, look at from Chad Abbott. Would it have killed you to do a little Utah prep before your show? Well, I knew. As a matter of fact, leave the programming to the professionals. Leave the radio to the professionals. It's an old trick. I knew that the Wasatch Mountains were in Utah, but I wanted to act like, that got so much going on in my head, and I know so much. It's hard for me to remember it all and pinpoint it. It would be like me saying something like, pretending I don't know the name of something or somebody because I've just got so much going on. I'm such a Renaissance man. Like, for instance, saying, who was the LA Laker great? Is named after a magician. He was really good. He was 34. He played for the Spartans. He won a bunch of, Magic Johnson. That's pretending I don't remember his name, right?
And he was my guy before he was your guy.
Right. Yeah. That kind of a thing. Or saying, Easter Sunday just came and went. It's to celebrate the resurrection of, I'm bad with names. He was born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. On the third day, rose again from the dead. He went to sit by God the Father Almighty, and he comes to judge the quick and the dead.
Joe Mauer.
Well,
oh no, Jesus.
That's right. Now I remember his name. So anyway, I don't mind the name at all. It's the logo's good. It's not your regular. Like I say, lions, tigers, or bears, oh my. So I like the way they unveiled the name, and that's all good. I saw this story. This is one of those Pirates Stadium employee suspended for unacceptable incident after a video showed him whipping fan with a belt. Video posted on social media shows the employee and the fan having a verbal confrontation, then the employee punching the fan at least 3 times. A second altercation then broke out after the fan allegedly spit on the employee, at which point the employee removed his belt and whipped the fan.
Jeez.
So the Pirates had to issue a statement, as you would expect.
Well, he did get spit on first.
Right.
I mean,
we are aware of the unfortunate incident that occurred following the conclusion of the game at PNC Park. Between a PNC Park game day employee and a guest. The employee's behavior was entirely unacceptable and was immediately suspended. This incident is currently under further investigation. The employee intervened on behalf of a female employee who had a verbal confrontation with 2 fans. According to a Pirate spokesman, no criminal charges have been filed as of Tuesday morning. we see it again, fan behavior, getting to the point where there was another story recently. What story did we tell? Were you here, or was it with Brett Blakemore? Something in the last week or so. There was another fan confrontation story. I think it was of serious nature too. I don't remember exactly what it was now, but it was no, I know what it was. Who was the player that had attempted suicide at one time? It was a baseball player. Somebody will remind me of the story and maybe send it to me. This was just the last 2 weeks. And I had no idea he had contemplated suicide, or else maybe actually attempted suicide. And apparently a fan had to be ejected because he started taunting the player about it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's come to, I mean, we want a pitcher, not a belly itcher. We want a batter, not a broken ladder. I mean, those are all fine and good. But when you start
going down the serious mental health road,
some of them, consider the guy was in some deep, dark depression. You just don't go there. I don't think.
I don't know what it is about celebrities in general and athletes that like people don't view them as like human beings.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I think that's probably it. I think you're.
And if you're saying something like that, that says a lot more about you than the person you're saying.
I couldn't agree with you more.
You're probably a miserable human being.
So it's amazing though what people will do to attract attention to themselves or to try to get somebody going. Speaking of that, we got plenty to get Rosen going on when we get on the when he joins the Grum here.
He doubted Golden State.
He did doubt Golden State.
Yeah,
he did. He thought the Wolves would run away with it. I'm beginning to think of whatever Rosen says, you should just maybe
bet the opposite.
Maybe just bet
it's like
the opposite.
Deuce to spread swing.
Correct. Speaking of the Wolves, we'll talk Warriors Wolves when Mark Rosen joins us. We've been speculating. There's been speculation how long will Curry be out? For those that don't know, and I'm sure you do by now, if you didn't see it happen live, Curry pulled up lame, grade 1 or grade A. What do they call it?
Grade 1.
Grade 1 hamstring strain. One of those. What did you call him? Injury specialist guy watches TV and tries to determine what an injury is by watching television. It's kind of cool. It's a good gig if you can get it. He thought probably by game 6. This story from Brad Botkin, who writes for CBS Sports, says Warrior star out multiple games with hamstring strain, return timeline unclear. It says Warrior, he thought the game might be back by game 6. This one says Curry will miss at least a week with a grade 1 hamstring. The update means Curry will be sidelined at least through game 4. Against the Timberwolves. Game 4 is scheduled for Monday, May 12th. The exact return timeline for Curry is unclear. It will depend on how he heals with treatment. As you mentioned, he was hurt last night. So, again, game 6, game 4, obviously huge difference, And then, maybe hamstring. We've discussed hamstring strains because they happen all the time, especially with the Twins. And Royce Lewis, it seems like he gets one all the time. But those are kind of those can be nagging, right? They can be very difficult to deal with in most cases. Would that be accurate, do you think?
Yeah, a lot of those injuries we saw with like Adam Thielen here, one, they recurring
right
on that specific. But you also see times where because they're overcompensating on their rehab with that injury that it leads to other lower body muscle type injuries. So the hammies are definitely pesky.
Yeah. So whether he does return, let's say for game 5, let's say he's out through game 4 or 5 or 6, if it's still a series, heck, it could be over by 4, I suppose. But then the whole thing is going to be every time he touches the ball, you're going to be going, well, as he dribbles up the court, as he tries to make quick moves, is he going to aggravate it? And it'll be something to keep an eye on. This has to be one of those. This almost seems like an Onion story. Did you see Fan sues NFL for $100 million over Shedeur Sanders' draft slides, citing emotional distress and trauma.
I heard it, but I didn't even read it because I just thought that's not worth my time.
I like that the guy's giving it a shot.
Speaking of someone needing attention.
Maybe he thinks he can win the case.
Good luck.
The lawsuit, John Doe suing the NFL for $100 million in punitive damages for the harm caused to the plaintiff and the impact of the NFL's action on his emotional well-being. Think about if you could sue for punitive damages for emotional distress and such. Think of how much money PA could get from the Minnesota Vikings if he wasn't an extended family member. I mean, we've seen it. We've heard it. I mean, think about the no game.
No!
Think about in court. Well, can you prove that you had emotional distress? Then you play this soundbite.
Get back, guys. Here it is. The season's on the line. Two receivers left and right. McCown takes the snap. He steps up. He's all by himself. Fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! The Cardinals have knocked the Vikings out of the playoffs.
Whether you're a jury of his peers, and he has no peer, but whether you were a jury of his peers or just a judge, you give him the money, right? I mean, that's emotional distress.
We rest our case.
Well, we rest our case. No further witness. That's Exhibit A. You don't need A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You just need that. It's over. That's what they call, that's a slam and shut. What do they call it? That's slam and...
Open and shut case.
Open and shut case. That's what
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Why do I think it's funny? Is it wrong to laugh at PAs coming unhinged over Viking losses? Is it wrong? Because I don't think it is, because...
There's nothing I love. There's no montage I love more than a sad montage song with PA negative highlights. It's just as good as it gets.
Yeah. And again, I would ask you the question, is that wrong? And I say no. Some people say, well, that's wrong. He cares and we care. We lost the game. Aren't you upset? Well, yeah, I wanted him to win, but there's trade-offs.
There's a great consolation prize that comes along with it. Well, if fans were allowed to sue just based off of emotional stress, like Minnesota sports fans could do a class action lawsuit for what we've had to deal with over the last 40 years.
Yeah, and where would you start? I mean, there's so many different places. I really wouldn't know where to start. It would probably be mostly Vikings because some of those losses.
They've had the most heartbreaking.
They've had the most heartbreaking, devastating losses. I don't remember any single Wolves game or I mean they've lost the last game of a series, but it wasn't like with the Vikings. It comes down to a play.
Yeah,
like the go back to 75 with the Drew Pearson push off. And then go to Darren Nelson. Looked like he had the ball in his hands, and he dropped that. And I mean, the list goes on and on. Your guy Blair Walsh missing the field goal attempt. How about when Favre throws the ball across his body and it's picked off? Those are all just jarring, mind-boggling, soul-searing devastation.
The kick. It is no good. Shot. It missed wide to the left. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anderson's last field goal miss, the 15th of December, 1997, against Denver.
Now, there aren't as many, there are some games that were tough, but they weren't that quick. And for instance, but they're still devastated. But when the Vikings lost to the Eagles, they weren't quite that far out of that game. I won't go. Yeah. So,
I'm trying to think of, the Wolves obviously haven't had any last second moments.
No.
The Wild, I'm thinking the Patrick Kane overtime goal, the one that went off the stanchion, where he scored on Brizgalov to win that series.
Yeah.
Twins, maybe Joe Mauer foul ball. That was fair. That the umpire called.
Yeah, that was
the umpire called foul.
That was a tough one. In the lawsuit, Johnny Doe says he's a dedicated fan of the Colorado Buffaloes and that he closely followed Sanders over the past 2 college football seasons. The plaintiff claims that the reports and leaked statements suggesting that Sanders tanked interviews wasn't prepared and was too cocky in the pre-draft process helped create a narrative that unjustly harmed his reputation. These slanderous statements cause emotional distress and trauma to the plaintiff as a fan and a consumer. Do we know that he was unjustly harmed? I think...
Good luck proving that.
Yeah, most accounts, I think, at least in what was leaked, most teams felt that way. That he was trying to basically say, look, when I get there, this is how we're going to run this operation. The plaintiff alleged several claims against the NFL. The violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act, collusion among NFL teams. The Sherman Antitrust Act, I think, started when it was General Sherman who was with the Confederates. And he put a coalition together. He colluded against the North. Violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act, and violation of the Civil Rights Act, intentional infliction. I'm making this up. Intentional infliction of emotional distress and trauma, and violations of the consumer protection laws. In addition to the $100 million, the plaintiff requests a formal acknowledgement from the NFL regarding the emotional distress caused by the actions and the statements. We have to admit that we did that. That's our fault. A retraction of the slanderous statements made about Shedeur Sanders, along with an apology for any harm caused his reputation. Implementation of fairer practices in the drafting process to ensure that talented players are recognized and given opportunities based on merit, and any additional remedies the court deems appropriate, including compensatory damages. I don't know, because I do believe he is just trying to attract attention or something. Why would he give his real name? Why is he going with John Doe? Maybe that's later, so it can be on Oprah. Or Dr. Phil, one of those shows like that.
I also wonder, how do you come up with the $100 million price tag?
It's a nice round number. $100 million? Well, $30 million ain't going to get him to the grave.
No.
So you don't do 30. I mean, you wouldn't even consider that. It's got to be more than that. So you go with the 100. Go ahead.
I'm kind of changing the topic. Maybe you talked about this while I was gone, but it's a little bit older story. Did you see that the University of Colorado retired the numbers of both Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders? And I'm a Coach Prime guy.
Right.
I'm a Shedeur guy. I liked him. I thought he should have been drafted higher. And Travis Hunter, I guess you could argue because he won the Heisman Trophy and was drafted 2 overall. But I get that they took a program that was rock bottom and at least made them relevant. But ultimately, the team wasn't a top 10 team. They weren't competing in big time bowl games. Shedeur ends up getting drafted in the 5th round. And also, don't you wait a little bit of time to see what the legacy is before you just retire somebody's number? After their career's over, you just automatically throw Shedeur Sanders' number up in the stadium. It makes zero sense to me.
It doesn't make. I tend to agree with you. One last text message regarding this before we go to break and bring in Rose, and it says, not only should this lawsuit be tossed out, the NFL should countersue this person for legal fees incurred to get the lawsuit thrown out. That would be the only way to prevent this from becoming a trend. Otherwise, there's no financial downside, and the fan gets their 15 minutes of fame. So this would become a trend. And I think he's right, because it is just a way to get your 15 minutes of fame. So good luck to him. If they want to call me as a material witness, I'll do it. We'll pause, and we'll welcome Mark Rosen into the program in our Studio A here on The Fan.